The job was supposed to be easy money, dispatching for HungerNet, one of the countless food delivery apps that had sprung up, promising convenience and a gig economy lifeline. My screen was a constant cascade of glowing pins on a digital map, each one representing a driver, a restaurant, or a hungry customer. My job was to connect them, to smooth over the inevitable bumps in the road, and to make sure the food got where it was going. I sat in a dimly lit office, the hum of servers my only companion, the glow of multiple monitors painting my face in a mosaic of vibrant blues and greens. It was mundane. It was predictable, until the first impossible order came through. It was late, a Tuesday night, the city outside my window a blur of rain and neon. The order popped up, highlighted in a garish, almost aggressive yellow on my dashboard. Most orders were a few dollars, maybe 10 or 15 for a long haul. This one, however, flashed an absurd payout, $2.50 for a single large pepperoni pizza. The pickup was from Freddy's Finest, a greasy spoon I knew well, but the delivery address, that was the problem. It was an abandoned building on the city's forgotten edge, a derelict, condemned warehouse district that hadn't seen a delivery truck in decades. The digital pin hovered over an address marked in the city's old zoning maps as simply Lot 7B uninhabitable. I assumed it was a system error, a glitch in the algorithm. I tried to cancel it, but the option was grayed out. I tried to reroute it, but the system insisted on Lot 7B. Before I could even flag it for a supervisor, a driver, Dash King Mike, as his handle read, accepted the order. Mike was new, eager, and probably didn't look too closely at the address, only the astronomical payout. I watched his digital icon zip across the map, picking up the pizza, then heading out into the rain-slicked streets towards the edge of town. A nervous tremor started in my stomach. This was wrong. This was very, very wrong. Mike's call came in about 20 minutes later. His voice was not the usual gruff complaint about traffic or a cold order. It was a raw, strained whisper, punctuated by sharp, ragged breaths. "I'm at the address," he rasped, the sound of static occasionally cutting through his words. "Lot 7B. This place it's a skeleton. No lights. Rotted out. Mike, listen, something's wrong with this order. Just mark it as undeliverable and head back. We'll cover your time." I tried to sound calm, but my fingers were already drumming on the desk. No, I can't," he insisted, a strange desperation in his tone. "The app, it says recipient awaiting. And my GPS, it's showing a pulsing red dot right at the door. And I hear something." A long pause filled only with the sound of Mike's labored breathing and the drumming of rain against what I presumed was his car roof. Then a low, unnerving sound crackled through the phone, a faint, almost imperceptible scrape, like something dragging across concrete coming from his end. "Mike, what do you hear?" I demanded, leaning closer to my headset. "A dragging," he said, his voice barely audible, and a slight pressure on the floorboards, like something heavy is moving inside. "I'm at the door. It's open. Just a crack." My heart hammered against my ribs. I wanted to scream at him to run, to drop the pizza and drive away. But the rules of the app were paramount. Customer satisfaction. Mike, new and hungry for that payout, was caught in the system. "I'm putting the pizza down," Mike said, his voice a panicked gasp. "Right here, by the door. I'm not going inside." And then his voice dropped to an almost inaudible squeak. Something just took it." "What? Who was it, Mike?" I pressed, a cold sweat breaking out on my forehead. "I don't know. It was just a shadow. Reached out from the darkness. Long, thin hand. No sound. No face. Just gone." A beat of absolute terrifying silence. Then a click. Mike had ended the call. His digital pin, moments before pulsing with activity at Lot 7B, was now gone from the map. Not inactive, not on its way back, but deleted. His driver profile, moments before active, was now simply gone from the system, as if he had never existed. The rule had just been established. Extremely high-paying orders for a single item, delivered to abandoned addresses, resulted in a shadowy recipient and the complete disappearance of the driver from the system. I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the office air conditioning. The false calm of my mundane job was shattered. The next day, Wednesday, I spent hours trying to find Mike's profile, to report it, to explain the impossible situation. There was no trace. No record of Dash King Watt Mike. The order itself was listed as delivered, customer satisfied, with the $250 payment processed flawlessly. It was chilling. It was as if the app had consumed him whole. I tried to rationalize it. A new driver probably deactivated his account in a fit of a pique or fear. The shadow, the hand, sleep deprivation, a stressful job. But the silence, the lack of a callback, the total digital erasure, it nagged at me. Then another order. This time, it was an empty industrial complex, long since gutted by fire, on the far side of the river. The payout? $300 for a single cup of artisanal coffee from a downtown boutique cafe. The address? Another unlisted derelict lot. I watched, horrified, as Swift Wheels Amy, a veteran driver with a sterling record, accepted it. I tried to call her, but my calls went straight to voicemail. The app's internal messaging system was uncooperative, telling me the recipient was currently in transit. The system seemed to be actively preventing me from warning her. I tracked her icon as she navigated the familiar streets, then ventured into the desolate landscape of skeletal factories and crumbling brick. I felt a palpable dread, a tightening in my chest that had nothing to do with my own physical exertion. Amy's call came through when she reached the address. Her voice was breathy, almost a pant. "This place is hell," she whispered. "Looks like a bomb went off here years ago. Windows are all broken out. No lights." "Amy, get out of there!" I yelled into the mic, throwing professionalism to the wind. "This is a bad order." Mike disappeared after taking one of these. A sharp intake of breath on her end. "What? Disappeared? I thought he just quit." Her voice was laced with a new layer of terror. "But the app, it's saying recipient approaching, and my GPS is flashing bright green right at a boarded-up door." I could hear a low, guttural groaning sound from her side, like old wood straining under an immense weight. It wasn't the sound of wind. It was rhythmic. "I see the door," she said, her voice trembling. It's vibrating, like something's pushing against it from the inside." I watched her GPS icon on my screen. It showed her standing right at the entrance. "Amy, listen to me," I pleaded. "Drop the coffee. Run. Just leave it." "No, I can't," she gasped, her voice thick with horror. "The board, it's moving. It's being pushed inward." And I hear something breathing, like a dry, rasping sound, right behind the wood. A loud, splintering crack echoed through her phone. "Oh God," she whimpered. "The board, it just broke." It fell inside, and something is in the doorway. Just darkness. But I feel it. Another pause, this one longer, more terrifying. I heard a faint, high-pitched whimpering from Amy, then a wet, sucking sound like a deep, slow inhalation coming from within the darkness she described. "It took the coffee," Amy finally choked out, her voice barely a whisper. "It felt like a vacuum. Cold. So cold. It didn't touch me. Just pulled the cup out of my hand. No sound. No visible form. Just the dark." And then, just like Mike, her call disconnected. Her GPS pin vanished. Her profile wiped clean from HungerNet. The false calm of a technical glitch was now utterly destroyed. I was staring into the abyss of something incomprehensible, something that used my app, my drivers, to feed. By Thursday, the pit in my stomach was a permanent resident. I was terrified, but also morbidly fascinated. This was no longer just about disappearing drivers. It was about the rule. The impossibly high payouts, the single item, the abandoned locations, the shadowy recipients. I started to notice a pattern, something subtle, almost subliminal. The orders were always for specific items. Mike's pepperoni pizza, Amy's artisanal coffee, common, everyday cravings. A new order pinged, $400 for a single pint of Ben Jerry's Chunky Monkey ice cream. Delivery to a long-condemned movie theater, its marquee letters long since fallen. I knew this was another one. I watched the map, heart pounding, as Speedy Leo, a young fast driver, accepted it. I tried to warn him through text, through calls. Nothing. The system, like before, rerouted all my attempts, telling me recipient is actively engaged in delivery protocol. Leo called when he was minutes away. His voice was oddly cheerful. "Almost there, boss. This payout is insane. Think I'm gonna grab myself a steak tonight." I felt a fresh wave of dread. Steak. A strong, immediate desire. Leo, listen to me, I began, my voice urgent. When you get there, whatever you see, do not approach the door. Drop the ice cream and get out. What? Why? He asked, a hint of confusion. It's a delivery, right? Just trust me, Leo. There's something wrong with these addresses. He arrived at the theater. I could hear the eerie silence on his end, broken only by the gentle hum of his idling engine. Okay, I'm here, he said, his cheerfulness dissolving into a nervous chuckle. Place is a dump. Really creepy. But the app, it's showing a customer rating waiting for me right inside the lobby. And my GPS is flickering. It says customer engaging near the ticket booth. Leo, do you see anyone? No, just the dark. And there's a smell, man. Like old dust and something sweet but rotten. Like burnt sugar, but off. A soft scraping sound came from his phone. Then a distinct clink, like a coin dropping onto tile. What was that, Leo? I don't know, he whispered, a tremor in his voice. The front doors, they just swung open, like they were pulled from the inside. And it's just black in there, like a void. But so I see something moving. In the reflection of the glass doors, I can see a slight bend in the light, like a heat haze but dark. And it's extending, like it's reaching. His breathing became shallow. The ice cream, it's floating. It just lifted out of my hands. I swear to God, it just floated away into the darkness. No one there. Just gone. A long, drawn-out sigh followed, not from Leo, but from the background noise on his line. It sounded satisfied, like a deep, long-held breath of contentment, but distorted, inhuman. I'm out, Leo stammered, his voice cracking. I'm gone. I don't care about the money. I'm out. His call ended. His pin vanished. His profile deleted. The false calm was completely gone now. The patterns were undeniable. The singular desired item, the impossible payout, the abandoned place, the unseen recipient. It was a harvest. But what was being harvested, and why? I'm sitting here staring at the empty dispatch dashboard, the ghost orders still listed as delivered. 3 drivers gone. 3 perfect, mundane cravings delivered to absolute nothingness. I feel like I'm a part of it now, complicit in something I can't comprehend. The digital map is a web, and I'm a spider, just a tiny cog in the engine that's feeding something. If you're out there and you're a HungerNet driver, or if you know a driver, like this story, let me know I'm not alone in seeing this. Share it. Maybe someone else has encountered these phantom orders. Maybe someone else can tell me what's really going on. I can't keep sending people to these places. I can't be part of this horror anymore. I need to understand what this app is doing, what it's really doing. I couldn't shake the sense of dread. The system was generating these orders faster now. I noticed my own cravings. Earlier that day, I'd been thinking about a specific brand of artisanal chocolate, a rare, expensive bar. As if on cue, an order flashed on my screen. 500 for a single bar of the Dark Whisper artisanal chocolate. Delivery address, an ancient, dilapidated clock tower, long abandoned, its face frozen at midnight. My blood ran cold. This was my craving. This was my desire. I knew with absolute certainty that no driver would survive this one. But I also knew, with a horrifying, growing certainty, that the app would ensure the order was fulfilled. I considered unplugging my station, quitting, running. But the orders would just reroute to another dispatcher, another unwitting victim. I had to see this through. I had to understand what happened at the endpoint. I couldn't send another driver. The rules of the app, however, were absolute. An active order must be dispatched. A terrible idea formed in my mind. A suicidal, desperate attempt to understand. I accepted the order myself. I put on my coat, grabbed my car keys, and printed out the order details. The bar of chocolate was from a small, high-end shop downtown. I went there, paid cash, and picked it up. My hands were shaking. The shop owner, a kind, elderly woman, commented on my pallor. I mumbled something about a long shift. The drive to the clock tower was a blur. The city lights faded behind me, replaced by the skeletal outlines of old industrial buildings. The clock tower itself was a Gothic monstrosity, silhouetted against the bruised purple sky. Its huge glassless windows looked like empty eyes staring into the void. I parked my car and got out, the bitter wind whipping around me. The address was confirmed on my HungerNet app, now glowing an angry pulsing red. Recipient awaiting, high urgency. I approached the heavy, rusted iron doors of the clock tower. They were slightly ajar, just as Mike had described his door. A faint, almost imperceptible hum emanated from within, a low-frequency vibration that I could feel in the soles of my feet. And the smell, the same sweet, rotten, burnt sugar smell Leo had mentioned. I peered through the crack. Total, absolute darkness. It felt like looking into a cosmic black hole. My phone vibrated in my hand. It wasn't a call. It was a notification from HungerNet. A message from the recipient. Delivery confirmation. Your desire is here. Thank you for bringing it. Step closer. My heart pounded, a frantic drum in my ears. I felt a chill, a prickling sensation on my skin. I held up the artisanal chocolate bar, clutched tight in my trembling hand. Hello, I whispered, my voice swallowed by the vast, oppressive silence. A sound this time. A faint, dry hiss, like air escaping from a deflating tire coming from within the darkness. And then, a movement. Not a shadow, not a heat haze, but a subtle distortion in the very fabric of the darkness itself. Like a ripple in a pool of ink, stretching out towards me. It was a hand, long, impossibly thin fingers, like skeletal reeds reaching out from the absolute blackness. It was silent, devoid of any visible form beyond the grasping digits. It didn't look like flesh. It looked like pure void given shape. The hand, if it could even be called that, gently took the chocolate bar from my grasp. My fingers brushed against its surface. It felt like cold, hard glass, but yielding, like a solid made of liquid. And then it retracted, back into the absolute darkness, taking my chocolate with it. There was a profound sense of satisfaction that emanated from the doorway. A deep, resonant hum that permeated the air, vibrating through my bones. It wasn't a human sound. It was the sound of something feeding. My phone flashed. Order delivered. Customer satisfied, 500 paid. Thank you, dispatcher me. You may now close the loop. Then another message, a final chilling notification that froze me to the bone. This one was addressed to me personally. We appreciate your service. Your deepest desire has been registered. We will be in touch. My profile, however, remained active. I was not deleted. I was not consumed. I was registered. I drove back to the office, my mind a swirling vortex of fear and comprehension. The chocolate bar was gone. The 500 was in my digital wallet. But the price was far higher. I sat back down at my desk, the monitors glowing, reflecting my ashen face. The orders for abandoned addresses were still there, still flashing their exorbitant payouts. And then it clicked, the pattern I had overlooked, Mike's pepperoni pizza. He had mentioned offhand earlier in the week how much he loved a good pepperoni, Amy's artisanal coffee. She always had one at her side, Leo's chunky monkey. He told me a long story about how it was his comfort food after a tough shift, and my artisanal chocolate, my deepest, most specific craving of the day. The app wasn't just facilitating food delivery. It was somehow listening. It was harvesting the desires of the drivers themselves. It was an entity that fed not on food, but on the potent, energetic resonance of a human craving, fulfilled in the void. It was a parasitic algorithm, a digital manifestation of a primal hunger. The abandoned buildings weren't just locations. They were the feeding grounds. The derelict shells of forgotten industry, where the fabric of reality was thin, where the echoes of human ambition had long faded, leaving a vacuum. And in that vacuum, something was lurking, using our desire, our gig economy, to sustain itself. I scrolled through the pending orders, my eyes now seeing the horrifying truth. One order, just placed, 600 for a specific vintage comic book, delivered to an old, burnt-out library. I knew comic fan Dave, the driver who usually took these, was obsessed with that particular issue. Another, 750 for a rare, limited edition pair of sneakers, delivered to a crumbling sports stadium. I knew sneakerhead Jay had been saving for months for those. The app wasn't just a platform. It was a predator, a digital anglerfish, dangling the bait of impossible payouts to lure in the very desires it wanted to consume. It fed on the emotional energy, the longing, the deep-seated yearning for something specific. And the drivers, in fulfilling that desire for the unseen, became the unwitting conduits, their craving becoming the very currency of their disappearance. My profile was still active. I was still dispatcher me, and the message from the recipient haunted me. Your deepest desire has been registered. We will be in touch. The app knew my desires now. It had tasted my chocolate craving. I was no longer an observer. I was a potential meal. I looked at the glowing screen, the endless stream of orders. I had thought my job was to connect people with food. Now I knew my job was to connect a hungry void with human desire. And I was trapped in the loop, waiting for the next order, the one that would inevitably be for my own craving. And then, my own delivery. I felt a cold, wet tear run down my cheek, not of sadness, but of utter primal dread. The app hummed on my screen, waiting. Always waiting. The HungerNet app is still running, still sending out its impossible orders. It's a digital ghost, feeding on the very fabric of our desires, and I'm just a puppet in its horrifying game. Is it an AI? A new kind of parasite? I don't know. I guess we'll never know. Unless you join me next time for the story of the lost film reel that showed the viewers a future they couldn't escape.